As of this afternoon, Raghav Chadha, one of the most recognizable faces of the Aam Admi Party, has walked out, taking with him six AAP MPs. It is by any measure a seismic amount for Indian opposition politics to help us make sense of what just happened and what it means for Arvind Kejriwal. I'm joined by political editor Puneet Nicholas Yadav. Puneet, welcome.
Thank you, Sonakshi.
Let's get straight into it. Weeks after he was removed, Raghav Chadha was removed as AAP's deputy leader in Rajya Sabha. He has now announced that he is joining the BJP. What makes the defection more surprising, though? Is it that the six other AAP MPs, including Ashok Mittal, who had replaced Chadha as deputy leader, are also moving to the BJP? How do you see this exodus?
Yeah, so yes, I mean, one had expected this to be the natural chronology, but whether it would happen at such a rapid pace is something that has surprised a lot of people. When Raghav was replaced with Ashok Mittal, who's also now joined that gang, it was anticipated that he will be moving to the BJP eventually. The timeline was uncertain. Now again, he has, I believe, gone and met the BJP president. From what I was reading, I was caught up with some meetings, so I didn't follow the appointments that he's had subsequent to the announcement. But a formal joining, I believe, hasn't happened as yet. He has, of course, announced that he and the six others, which include at least two surprises as of now. One is Mr. Sandeep Pathak, and the other is Ashok Mittal, because this whole political drama started with Ashok Mittal replacing Raghav Chadha as the deputy leader. So for both of them, for Sandeep, who was considered as Kejriwal's main backroom boy and strategist, and the election arithmetic genius and all of that, for Sandeep and Ashok to be joining this group, that of course is surprising. The trajectory of them moving from the Aam Admi Party to the BJP is not as surprising, though. So that was always, and in fact, for several months now, this had been in speculation, in the power corridors of Delhi, that 6 or 7 Aam Admi Party MPs are going to, like in the Rajya Sabha, are going to defect. I believe what took a while was that you need a 2/3 group of the party to leave and join someone else, because otherwise you can get disqualified under the anti-defection law. So what we were told a few months ago by sources within the AAP, sources in the BJP and others, was that the BJP was trying to get to that 2/3 figure. And it seems, I mean, it's clear that it has now reached that 2/3, because the AAP has 10 MPs in the Rajya Sabha, 7 of them are now walking out. Now, the exodus, of course, presents its own set of challenges for the Aam Admi Party. For Mr. Kejriwal, it's a very, I think it's a shocking development at many levels. One, I mean, an interesting tidbit here also is that after he lost the, after he, of course, he left the chief minister's chair in Delhi, and then subsequently his party lost. He also lost his own seat. The house that he has been living in, at Firozshah Road in Delhi, that house is actually allocated to Ashok Mittal. So now if Mr. Ashok Mittal is going to join the BJP, whether Mr. Kejriwal, he's going to have that big heart for Mr. Kejriwal to continue staying in that house, or Mr. Kejriwal will also have to go house hunting, aside from, looking at his own politics and revival of the AAP, is going to be another challenge for him at a personal level. But aside, I mean, that aside, this was bound to happen, because all of these people that the Aam Aadmi Party, brought out and made Rajya Sabha MPs, whether it is Mr. Vikramjit Singh Sani, Mr. Rajinder Gupta, Mr. Sandeep Pathak, or Raghav, Ashok, all these people, none of them, Harbhajan Singh, the former cricketer,
Yeah.
so these seven, none of them are people who are, who traditional politicians. Three of them are out and out businessmen. One is a former cricketer. These are people who banded together with the AAP, got, something in exchange, a Rajya Sabha berth here, Raghav Chadha, of course, also party spokesperson at one point, also an MLA at one point, and all of that. There was never any ideological commitment. And the AAP itself as a party has never been an ideological party. If you ask somebody in the Aam Aadmi Party today, even if you ask Mr. Kejriwal, what is your ideology in politics? There is none. He'll talk about, we'll make schools, we'll make hospitals. That's about it. Whereas if you look at the series of people who've quit the Aam Aadmi Party over the years since its founding, perhaps the only two people who brought a certain ideological clarity to the Aam Aadmi Party to some extent. I mean, one can argue the merits and demerits of both of them, but they brought some kind of clarity to the AAP were people like Prashant Bhushan and Yogen Yadav. And if you look at, just a handful of other people who've eventually gone out of public life, some journalists who had joined, who've gone back to practicing journalism, others who've gone back into, NGOs and all. So they weren't really there for the politics of it. Yogen Yadav and Prashant were very different from this whole lot, whether it is a Kumar Vishwas or a Kiran Bedi or a Shazia Elmi, Raghav Chadha, Vikramjit Sani, all of these people, none of them with any political sort of clarity, ideological clarity, loyalty to a certain brand of politics. So in that sense, I mean, what I'd also add is that this exodus also perhaps points to more people quitting because the AAP has packed itself with such leaders. So whether this is just the start of another round of people quitting is something that we'll have to wait and watch.
So how big a challenge does this now pose for AAP?
For the Aam Aadmi Party, it's a huge challenge. See, for in principle, about 4 or 5 points that I'll wrap up quickly. Firstly, this comes at a time when the base, the foundation of AAP, which was Delhi, is no longer with the Aam Aadmi Party. They've lost power in Delhi. Kejriwal, Manish Sisodia, the entire top leadership of the party has lost their seats. None of them are MLAs, except, a handful of people like Atishi or, others, Gopal and others. Now, in that scenario, to suddenly also lose all your Rajya Sabha MPs, is bad optics. It's also an organizational challenge, and it naturally erodes the confidence that people have and the party workers have in the party and the party's leadership. So that is there, and we've seen, how these setbacks impact political parties. The biggest example would be the Congress, as an opposition party which has consistently lost its leaders to the BJP in the last 12 years. So it's that kind of a setback, moral setback to the Aam Aadmi Party too. Secondly, it comes at a time when the Aam Aadmi Party, in 8 months or a little more than that, is going to face elections in Punjab. Out of these 7 MPs, with the exception of Swati Maliwal, who was elected to the Rajya Sabha from Delhi and has for the last 2 years been a rebel MP. Why the Aam Aadmi Party did not dare to have her disqualified is, of course, again for Mr. Kejriwal to explain. But out of these seven, six of these MPs have a Punjab connection. Punjab goes to polls next year. It's the only state where the AAP had a grand success in terms of its expansion, because it was able to form a government there with a brute majority, and in fact became the only regional party which was able to have governments in two states at a time, because back then it was also in power in Delhi. So no other regional party in India has been able to match that level in the last so many years. So that set the Aam Aadmi apart from other regional parties which are, part of the India alliance of the opposition, or, parties like the BRS and TDP and all these others. So going into elections in Punjab, and then end of next year is also Gujarat, the other state where the AAP has been trying expansion. Both these states, and you suddenly see a mass exodus of your leaders happening. Thirdly, at least three of these seven, Mr. Vikramjit Singh Sani, Mr. Rajinder Gupta, Mr. Ashok Mittal, were the money bags of the party. They were the ones that the party relied heavily on for funding. So, two major elections coming up next year for the Aam Aadmi Party. Retaining or reviving itself in Delhi itself, all these things require funds. So you now have to look for a new fund manager, a new fund creator, a new set of donor, all of that. So, and then of course, the narrative that is the AAP kind of on its way to an implosion. How do you counter that perception? Because as I said earlier, is this going to trigger more resignations? Are more people, the AAP has MLAs in Delhi, it has councillors in Delhi, it has MLAs and councillors in Punjab. Are more of these people going to quit? Who is Mr. Kejriwal going to be left with at the end of it? So a whole lot of challenges, all of a different character perhaps, some same, some different. But it's going to be a long haul for Mr. Kejriwal to kind of, set things right in this now.
As you rightly said, these defections come less than a year before AAP ruled Punjab goes to polls. So what do you think? Does the BJP really stand to gain from the induction of people like Raghav Chadha, Ashok Mittal, Sandeep Pathak, Vikramjit Sane, even Harbhajan Singh for that matter?
Yeah, so see, it's difficult to say what, when you say that is the BJP going to gain from it. Now that gain can be, how do you interpret that gain? Whether it is going to be electoral. Out of these seven, none of them are, mass leaders or people on whose name votes will be cast. So they're not leaders with electoral heft. So in that sense, I don't think they damage the AAP or the opposition or benefit the BJP in electorally.
Right.
The second is the perception part of it. Does it weaken the AAP's perception in Punjab ahead of the polls? That certainly it does. Whether the BJP is going to gain from that weakening of the AAP's image is again something that's too early to predict. Thirdly, as I said, there are people here who are big on resources. So that, of course, it's not like the BJP is in need of resources. It's the richest party in the country, perhaps at some level, the richest in a large part of the world as of today. So, but it does get, a larger pool of people now in Punjab for local mobilization. So that, yes, it gains in that sense. it also gets people who are perhaps, a Raghav Chadha or a Harbhajan Singh. These are still people who will have pockets of influence because there will be certain voters, the young voters, people interested. Punjab is a state that uh, looks up to its players. So, in that sense, that's again something that the BJP will try to capitalize on. If one doesn't know as of now whether Mr. Harbhajan Singh, if he comes on board, in what capacity, in what role does he come on board? The last cricketer in Punjab that the BJP had a kind of long association with was Mr. Navjot Sidhu. And
Yes.
the BJP did gain a lot from Mr. Sidhu's association before things went down the spiral for the BJP and then eventually also for the Congress, which Mr. Sidhu had joined. So it is, I mean, it's a pack of different kind of things that the BJP has now sort of bargained for. Whether it's going to be only gains for the BJP, one doesn't know. Electorally, I don't think it will have a huge impact because remember that the BJP in all of North India, if there is one state that the BJP has not been able to breach, because of a lack of understanding of its culture, a lack of understanding of how the state works, how the state has historically viewed New Delhi, is Punjab.
Right.
Even at the peak of Mr. Narendra Modi's popularity in 2014 and 2019, Punjab was one state in North India that did not vote for the BJP. So electorally, I don't think it's going to be a game changer for the BJP. In fact, just a couple of weeks back, another member of the AadmiParty, a former leader of opposition in the Punjab Assembly, Mr. H.S. Phulka, who's a lawyer who's represented many, many, many victims of the 1984 Sikh riots, anti-Sikh riots, also joined the BJP. So these inductions always happen before election. I mean, of course, it's very early for these inductions right now because they generally happen closer to polling date or closer to the announcement of the polls. It's happened long before, which also suggests that the BJP, as soon as the current round of assembly elections in Tamil Nadu, Bengal, and all of this is over, will go completely aggressively for Punjab. So for the Aam Aadmi Party, for the Congress, for the Akalis, in that sense, I mean, they better watch out because one doesn't know to what extent the BJP is going to push for its Punjab, expansion.
Would it also change the arithmetic in Rajya Sabha favorably for the BJP?
See, the BJP already has a sort of a majority of BJP NDA put together. So it increases the BJP's numbers in Rajya Sabha, of course, which makes it easier to push through legislation in Rajya Sabha. Beyond that, it doesn't really, achieve anything in terms of how the Rajya Sabha is going to function for, for the BJP. That's not a huge gain. So it does change the arithmetic in the sense that it tilts it more towards the BJP than it already has tilted. But I think that's the limit of it.
So, do these departures foretell a larger churn within the AAP? Like Chadha, in fact, has used this word merger when he and his colleagues announced their decision to join the BJP.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I mean, I was wondering why he's used the word merger because merger typically would mean, it wouldn't just mean that there are MPs who are walking out of one party, 2/3 and joining another, but it would in a way suggest that the party is splitting. Here, it isn't splitting in the sense that, what you saw with the Shiv Sena or what with the NCP. Those were splits, where the parent party was split down the middle into two camps. and both of them vying for, who is the original Shiv Sena, who is the original NCP. Here, that is not happening. Here, what is happening is seven MPs have decided to walk out because they are under the anti-defection. They'll be protected in the anti-defection law since they constitute 2/3 of the AAP's bloc in Rajya Sabha. They don't lose their seats, so they simply walk across the aisle and sit as BJP MPs. So that, I mean, calling that a merger is perhaps pushing it a bit too far. Yes, I mean, they're moving from one aisle to the other to to the ruling side, and perhaps enjoying the perks that come with that, because they're all barring Swati Maliwal, who's been elected from Delhi, where the BJP has numbers. Even if she was disqualified, the BJP could have sent her back.
Right.
But in Punjab, the BJP doesn't even have numbers. So if all 6 of these people had been disqualified, then the BJP would have had to get them elected from some other state. It couldn't have done so from Punjab, because Punjab, the BJP has nothing in the assembly.
Right.
It doesn't have the MLAs. And in that scenario, because those 6 seats would have fallen vacant from Punjab, the AadmiParty would have got its own 6 MLAs, because the AAP has a brute majority in Punjab. They would have filled up those 6 seats themselves. So that way, the BJP wouldn't have gained anything, right?
Right. So these developments come at a time when the threat of Kejriwal's discharge in the CBI's excise scam case being overturned by the Delhi High Court is also looming large. Are we seeing a swift unraveling of AAP since the time it lost power in Delhi?
Well, I think that's one way of looking at it, certainly, because, it has been a very tough last 2-3 years for the AadmiParty. Ever since the liquor scam cases were foisted on its leaders, you saw the whole spectacle of the, from Kejriwal, Manish Sisodia, Satyendra Jain, all of them going to jail. Then Mr. Kejriwal coming out, stepping down as chief minister, Atishi being made sort of a caretaker chief minister for 6 months, and then the party losing its election, and with all its senior leaders losing their seats.
Right.
Now, so in that chronology, for the party to now also lose a bulk of its MPs in the Rajya Sabha, and as I've pointed out earlier a couple of times, the threat that this is going to trigger more defections, of MLAs, of councillors in Punjab, in Delhi, perhaps even in Gujarat, where again the AAP does have some MLAs. So it is something that Mr. Arvind Kejriwal will have to be very worried about, on how do you come back from this. In politics, we never write off a party, no matter how poorly it's been performing. The BSP is a classic example in that sense. So one wouldn't write off the AadmiParty. The other thing is, how do you move forward from this? So what Mr. Kejriwal would perhaps need now is to reorient his party, his politics, to show that, we are not deterred by these defections. We are still the same street fighting lot that was there before. We have that clarity. And this thing that Mr. Kejriwal spent almost 12 years doing, of trying to, pander to the BJP style of Hindutva politics when it suited his, the Aam Aadmi Party electorally, and then attacking every political leader, left, right, center, randomly, calling everybody corrupt and stuff. I think he really needs to reconsider how he's conducted his politics over the last 12 years. Interesting thing is, the one thing that he used to constantly mock the Congress about and kind of show that, the Aam Aadmi Party is different, was see all these Congress leaders, they are available, for intimidation. They are greedy leaders. They are compromised leaders. They can be broken away and they can switch to the BJP any moment. So the AAP leaders are not like that. Vote for us. That was the one thing he would use to set the AAP apart and different from the Congress.
Right.
And he's now fallen into that same category where there's like one leader after the other leaving, and these are all big ticket leaders within the AAP's structure. Whether it's a Sandeep Pathak or a Raghav Chadha. So you've lost that differentiator in that sense. That you're also now like just any other party. You're going to lose your leaders to the BJP, like all other opposition parties have been losing their leaders to the BJP. So does that then also force Mr. Kejriwal to rethink his engagement with the opposition? Does it bring him closer to the India bloc? Does it make him humble? Does it make him or force him into entering some kind of a compromise with the Congress for, say, Gujarat in the future? These are all, of course, things that will play out eventually. So one can't say with certainty right now on what is going to happen. But what is certain is that these are very tough times for the Aam Aadmi Party. And this, to my mind, will not be the last of the defections. There will be many more, perhaps not at the level of MPs, maybe at the level of MLAs, at the level of councillors, or party functionaries. But this is going to trigger more such defections in the near future.
I guess time will tell how AAP fares. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you so
certainly.
much, Puneet, for the discussion. It was a lovely chat. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.